Okay, you can hear me. So we're going to be doing the magic key of E today. We're going to be talking about it, and I'll be improvising on it and looking at your questions. And all that good stuff. All right, hopefully the guitar sounds okay. Let's start it off with a little bit of a, I don't know, you tell me what the vibe is on this one. Let's hear it. It is the key of E for sure. All right. So starting out with a key of E. Allman Brothers feel. Yeah, okay, cool. That was kind of what I was aiming for and hoping for out of that. Good. Okay. Yeah, definitely can use the entire neck in E, and that's one of the huge advantages of the key of E. So we're just going to be talking about the key of E. Now I mentioned in some of my stuff that, Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan knew this. Now, of course, they tuned down. They tuned down a half step, but they played out of E positions on guitars most of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time they played out of E positions on guitar. Now, why is that? Well, let's just talk about one thing that nobody ever talks about, right? If you're like me, the first scale that you ever learned was a pentatonic scale, right? A minor pentatonic, and it's supposed to work over like a minor chord or a major chord. It doesn't really even matter, right? And I learned it over Zeppelin, so I would have learned it in the key of A, which Jimmy Page favored the key of A, right? So we learned this. We learned. Okay, now if you translate that into the key of E, which would be, oh well, from Peter Green or Fleetwood Mac was in there, was in the key of E. We get an E, we get a G, okay, and T-bone, yes, is the answer. Just the amp on the edge of the breakup. So we've got an E, a G, an A, a B, and a D. And then we get another E, right? Now I want us to look at those notes. And now I want you also to think about what is the standard tuning of a guitar. The standard tuning of a guitar, let's go through the strings, is E, A, D, G, B, and E. Okay? Now if you look carefully at those notes, they exactly are the same as the 5 notes. Remember, there's 2 E's, right? There's 5 notes in the minor pentatonic scale, the E minor pentatonic scale. They're all the same notes. So the key of E was really sort of made for rock and the blues, because if you're playing these minor pentatonics, any one of these open strings will work as a note in the minor pentatonic. It's kind of shocking and kind of interesting. So right? So I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if that's anything cosmic or whatever, but it is what it is, and it's just pretty interesting that, you know, that's the case. Consequently, a lot of blues are in the key of E. Key of A is also kind of usual for the blues, but a lot of blues, especially older blues, are in the key of E as a consequence of that tuning. All right. But what are some other things? Well, another thing that's pretty interesting, right, and that's right, Willie. So when we use sorts of pedal notes are going to be great in the key of E. So, you know, Jimmy's sort of phrase of playing, he got that bottom note in, right? So it works great for a power trio. And you can play in any sort of position in the key of E, and say in E minor. You can play those open notes. It works great. So that's one thing. Another thing is that because of that, in the key of E, in the key of E major, we often have these top notes and they'll work for the key. The B is the 5 chord, right? So that note's in there, and the E is also in there. So you can play the chords in the key of E, and they just sound beautiful as you're going up. And you can leave those 2 open strings. And it just sounds great. And it just sounds, it's really brilliant. Thanks. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. And it sounds really nice, and you can form all sorts of things based on that, you know, like the right? And it works great. So let's play another song in the key of E. This time we'll play it in the key of E major. And yeah, no, I think the original one was kind of more of a major-y key. So let's play something minor. Let's play a little, what do we want to play? You know, the key of E is great for moving between those. I'm going to play something I can move between those. T-Bone, I promise I will bring the Strat back, but this I think is a little more appropriate for this LP, So And it's not a real LP, as people will probably tell me. This is a Sire, Larry Carlton. Larry Carlton. And has P90s. P90s on it. Okay. Okay, sounds good. Sounds like it's in tune. I broke my E string the other day on this thing, so I had to change it. So tuning has been an issue in the last day or two, but I think I got it in. All right, let's try this one. Let's try this one. Haven't played it, but we'll give it a shot. Haven't played it lately. Oh, I got to check to see how loud the backing track is. Might be a little too loud. It's probably okay though. See what we got. All right, it's enough. Okay, missed a little bit about that. What's really cool is that a lot of these things you move between the E major and E minor, and if you play the chords, you've got all these open strings to save you anytime you get out of line. Anytime you get out of line, you can play an open string and it saves you, right? If you want to move from here down to here, that's no problem. You can play, and it sounds great. Give yourself time to move down there. Just hit an open string. No problem. All right. Thank you so much, Ron. I really appreciate it. Love it. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat. And I should mention that. I haven't mentioned, as always, there should be. I didn't. You know what? I'm not going to mention because I don't know if I put the link in. Maybe I put the link in the description for the member site. You know what? I'm going to check right now because why not? I'll check right now. It always takes longer. The problem is it always takes longer when I'm on a YouTube stream to do things like check. But, whatever. I will check it right now and then we'll get back to the blues. I just want to check to make sure that it's there. And if it's not there, I will put it in. Yeah, okay, yeah. So 15% off today if you want to join as a member. I always appreciate it if you, tips are always appreciated. They're not necessary. If you really want to support me, the best way to do that is to become a member. There's 15% off. We do every month. We do learning sessions. We do learning path. This month it's country rock guitar. And so the music of not just the Eagles, but the Stones, the Allman Brothers, Skinner, the Outlaws, and everything, Graham Parsons, that kind of stuff. That's what we're talking about this month. Last month, it was the roots of rock, so we did a lot of the 1950s sort of rock and roll stuff, which, by the way, Friday, I think, was the anniversary of Elvis's first single, That's All Right Mama, was released in 1954. And I believe it might have been July 3rd, anyway. But I know it was Friday, whatever Friday was. It wasn't the 3rd, no, it was the 5th, July 5th. July 5th. All right, so anyway, so it's there. If you want to join, would love to have you as a member. All right, that's enough. Now let's get back to the lesson. I don't know, I'm just playing and taking your stuff here. We're talking about the key of E this week and kind of demonstrating there's so much that you can do with the key of E. Let's play a more rockin', that was kind of rockin', right? That was kind of rockin'. Let's, yeah, I don't know. Let's try this one. Let's try another real. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. I'm trying to think of, can I do anything else without switching guitars? No, I'm going to switch guitars back. We'll go back. I promise I'll come back to this one again, but I want the Strat for this one. So we'll use the Strat. I want the Strat for this one. Well, we said it was going to be sort of this one will, I want to show you again, like, I think we just do a little blues, yeah? Now let's do a little psychedelic, a little psychedelia. Strat's perfect for that. So we're going to do this in E. We'll show you why Hendrix loved this key. Maybe. Waiting for the track to come up. Okay. Okay, yeah, this should be okay. Looks like the volume is okay. So let's do this. So there we go. So there's lots of cool things that you can do with stuff like that. You can play all these open chords, right? All of those sound good, except that diminished doesn't sound so good. Yeah, so let's go a little close. I have a new camera that's probably causing a little slowness. You can see my skinny legs. We'll take off the psychedelia. And go to something that's a little bit easier to hear. And so again, I'm leaving the top two strings open, and you can play all these chords, like an E, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A sharp minor, B7. Sorry, I said A. You can play an A major. I'm playing an A6 here. So there's that, and B7, C minor, C sharp minor. We're back to E. Thank you. And you know, you can form all sorts of interesting chords. It's an E major, really, or a C sharp minor 7. Both very similar chords, right? So that sort of stuff works. And also, you know, obviously, if you're playing in the Hendrix style, fourths work really well. Sorry. There we go. So yeah, you can play all sorts of stuff like that, and it sounds good. You can even occasionally throw in minor pentatonic in a song like that. You got to be a little careful. Throwing in major scales. All right. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, lots of fun. Let me see if there's other questions. Hey, Mike Murillo, good to see you. Bill Nelson, ooh, I'd like to be in that company. That's good company. Be with Bill Nelson. Let's let's try this one. Here's another one this is kind of a little funky thing. So it works for all of this. We'll play a little blues after this, but let's play a little funky. So this is, we'll have to get a little clean too for this one. So I want to make sure I have all the stuff off my, All right, so this one is a funky New Orleans thing, and it goes between having to playing sort of playing sort of over an E vamp. And that gives you lots of things that you can do over that E7 vamp. And then the other part will go kind of like... so it kind of goes from like an E major 7. Oh, this is one of my favorite chords too. I'll show you this one. I'll show you this one up close because I do this one a lot. This is my favorite R&B chord. So in R&B, very often, instead of going to the 5 chord, and say a blues or something like that, you don't go to the 5 chord. You instead play a suspended, a 4th chord suspended. So basically, you just can change the bass note. You can play an A with a B bass, and it sounds great. You hear this all over the place, like in Keb Mo's Hand It Over. Haven't played it in a while. So it goes, the turnaround kind of goes like this. So here we're playing G sharp minor. This is in the key of E. It's a blues in the key of E, right? We're playing when you're down, da 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 da, hand it over, get on your knees and pray. That's how it goes. So you're playing a regular E blues here. And then you're playing an A blues. All right, and then you're playing this back end turnaround of like G sharp minor. There's an interesting chord right there. C sharp 7 with a sharp 9. So it's the Hendrix chord, but you're not playing an E, right? And then you do a walk up, you're going to go. But the walk-up goes A major, A sharp diminished, and there's my favorite chord, that suspended chord. It's just a sweet sort of tension. It's sweet tension. And then you go back to the 1 chord. Or you could play the 1 chord right here. I'm playing an E. So anyway, cool stuff, cool stuff. So let's play. This one, however, is a little bit different. So we're playing an E7 vamp. Let me just play the whole thing. Let me just play it, and then I'll tell you what I did. Okay, how about that? Getting tired of talking. Where's New Orleans style? Come on, I know it's somewhere here. Oh, there it is. All right. See if I can remember the chords. I'll leave it like this so you can see what I'm doing. Oh, I got to check the... Okay. What I'm doing there. So what I'm doing is I'm playing an E vamp, an E7, right? You can play it wherever you want. know, wherever you want to play it. And then it goes into this, so that's just a E flat major 7, or E major 7, to a B, to an A, and then an A to this suspended B, which is an A with a B bass note. And then it goes to a C minor. So when it goes to C minor, you're going to an E major. All right? That's C minor, E major are kind of sister keys. So what's going on there is over that E7, you can play whatever you want. You can play a major, you can play a mixolydian, you can play a minor pentatonic, everybody's favorite, right? Except for Embry's. Embry doesn't like the minor pentatonic. But the rest of us can play it once in a while. It's okay. I know, I'm just kidding, Embry. All right, here we go. So let's play it. I'll be playing all over the place. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Let me stop it there. Some stuff that's kind of all over. It feels like it's all over the place, but there's really only two things going on there. There's a tonality of an E7 vamp. Let me turn this down a little bit. There's an E7 vamp going on, and then there's the other part of the song, which is more like a, which is more modal, because we're playing chords that are very strong. We're playing some minor chords. Let me just put it that way. When you start to hear minor chords, you start to hear things that feel like you should be playing in key. So when you play like, sorry. When you hear that, those are the keys that are in, those are chords that are in the key of E. Hence my selection for today, right? So we've got E major, and it's E major, right? We've got E major, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, B, C minor, right? C sharp minor. So when that happens, you can flip over to E major if you want and play the E major scale. Or you could play, you know, triads or what have you. But I think I chose mostly to play the E major scale over that. Then when it goes to that vamp, I can play what I want because it's got that seventh in there. There you go. All right, let's do a little blues because Dan is saying blues. Yeah, let's do some blues improv. So that's kind of bluesy, you know, funky New Orleans. There's a lot of blues that comes out of New Orleans. You gotta know how to play the funky stuff. You wanna play the blues. All right, but we'll play a more standard one, and I'll show you, like, here's a good example of when you play minors, it's a lot harder to play a major. You can do it, but it's a lot harder to play a major over a minor, over true minor chords than it is to play a minor scale over true major chords. Yeah, so let's do this. Put that back there. I promise I'll get out the telly sometime today. Let's go to this. Let me see. What did I miss? Oh, thank you. Oh, Dr. Russell, no problem. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. All right. Okay, Wilco Johnson. All right. Raise my seat a little bit. Whoa. You know, I'm going to have a sip of coffee here. Been a while. The amp is an interesting one, Mike. It's one of those Fender Tone Masters. Watch how it sounds. I'm going to turn off my mic for just a minute. I'll look at the things to make sure I remember to turn it back on, because I forget every once in a while. All right, there's my, I'm back on. So you can actually hear how the amp sounds without this microphone getting in the way. It's just too hard of a setup for me to do all the time on these Sunday shows. I usually do it in my videos. I actually, on my videos, in both the member section and on YouTube, I almost always play without listening to I don't have an amp on. So I'm always just playing direct to the mixing box, and I can't hear what it sounds like. But I have to change so much during these live shows that I need to hear it. So anyway. All right. So we're talking about the key of E, and we're talking about its advantages. Let's play a little blues, though, shall we? This is really blues. This is bluesy blues. So let's do it. Let me see. Oh, yeah, here it is. Let's listen to it. I want to get the volume right, but... And this will show you that when there's minor chords involved, you've got to be a little bit careful. It's not as easy to play majors over minors. But you can usually play a minor over a major to get a little bit of an edgy sound. That works. Okay, should be okay. All right, let's go over this. There we go. All right. All right, so you see there's a good example of, like, if I had played some major stuff, it just would have sounded bad. It's just not going to sound good over that minor progression. But I can get away with playing both a major and a minor over a major chord progression. And I definitely bent a couple of strings out of tune on that one. So, which shows I was into it. Oh, maybe I didn't. Oh. I told you I saw Robert Cray not too long ago, and he only played two strats. He played two guitars. They're both strats. He would play, and then he would give the guitar to the technician. The technician would give him the other strat. He bent the heck out of those strings every time he was out of tune. By the end, he added, I don't mean every time he was out of tune, but he bent super hard. Yeah, Shin, that makes sense, but look, it doesn't make sense to think in, I don't know, let's say G major if you're playing over that E minor chord. It makes more sense, much more sense to think about doing that, playing E minor, right? Plus you're playing, I was playing some modal stuff there too. You'll probably notice, so that's actually Dorian mode instead of minor. But anyway, that's another thing that you can do. But let's not get into Dorian mode. You know what? Let's get into a little Dorian mode. We'll switch back to the. We'll switch back to here, and I'll tell you all about it. We'll keep it in. We'll keep doing it in E. We're still playing in E. But did you notice on that last one, there's lots of things that you can do with those open notes. When I was doing those chord sort of runs, right? And there, I'm mostly relying on triads, but you can hit open strings. So you can hit open strings when you're going between them, so it makes it so much easier. If you make a, quote, mistake, which I don't worry about that stuff, as you know. But when you're doing the stuff like, that stuff, you can always, in the middle of it, interject some open strings. And it sounds okay. Those open strings sound good. Especially if you have a whammy, you can kind of play it and play around with that. Make some noise. Sounds good. So, just if you joined us late, we're talking about the key of E. Not just E minor, not just E major, but everything in between and its advantages, why the guitar is made for the key. Is made for rocking and in the key of E. So there we go. All right, let's play this one because I said we're going to do Dorian. So Dorian is another one of those things. Here I'm going to play some E Dorian. And Dorian is just, it's a quote minor chord mode because it's based off of the 2 chord. And the 2 chord of a major scale is minor. Did that sound confusing? If you harmonize the notes of the major scale, the 2 chord will be a minor chord. It turns out it's a minor chord. You get a major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, back to major. So if I can do it in G here, right? So G, the first 3 notes are, or the first 5 notes are G, A, B, C, D, right? Let's not go beyond that. We have a G major, A minor, major, D major. So it's kind of like, if you want to remember that, just remember like a Rolling Stone. Dressed so fine, right? And that'll help you remember a little bit of theory. Listen to Like a Rolling Stone. All right, anyway, whatever. The 2 chord, however, is a minor chord, and you can base modal play off of the 2 chord. And in this case, the 2 chord would be, if you pretend that E minor is the 2 chord, then you would get E Dorian mode. So let's do a little bit of, we'll do a little chord tones, and we'll do some Dorian mode with this one. This is a fun one, of course. I'm going to put on a little compression too, just because I want to. Let's see if I get the, it's a little loud in here, so I'm going to turn it down in here, but I think that's the right volume. So there's only 2 chords in this, and I was trying to do what one of those guys was suggesting, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But what's going on in that one? Yeah, we can play some Mixolydian if we want, and the reason it's Mixolydian is because in the key of D, D major, we've got the D chord would be the 1, E minor would be the 2 chord, E minor would be the 2 chord, and then our 3 chord would be F sharp minor, our 4 chord would be would be G major, and our 5 chord would be A major. So in this case, both these chords, E minor and A major, fit into the key of D major, and because of that, D Dorian will work. Now, Anna Melhem, when learning solos, do I determine what scale to use? I'm focused mostly on the chords. As people who follow my channel know, I focus mostly on the chords. So I know as long as I'm playing chord tones, I'm going to sound good. So if I play E minors, so I can play like a D Dorian mode. But if I just kind of wail on that scale, it's going to sound weird. And I do it every once in a while. It's going to sound okay, but if I'm not really minding my chord tones, I'm not going to have good resolutions. So I'm just going to be playing scales, and so I focus on chords more than anything. And in this case, you know, we've got an E minor resolving to an A major. So, and you know, you can mix scales and chords together, but when you're playing a scale, you really need to know sort of where you want to end and where you want to resolve your lines, and that really is the biggest help I find in soloing, is that. So anyway, so there you go. So there you go. That's how we can do that. So I tend to think in chords instead of a scale. So I see Shinj 391, for example, commenting on you know, modal play, and he's not wrong. Although you do have to listen to the whole progression, I think. You can get away with playing chord by chord, and it sounds good. I have the same issue. I have the same issue when I play that anybody who plays chord by chord and chooses a scale as well. But I tend to think I tend to think out of chords. So instead of thinking, oh, I've got an A7, I'm going to play a Mixolydian mode. I'm going to play an A Mixolydian. I can do that. I can certainly play that, but I tend to think in terms of chords. I tend to think in terms of chords, and I don't think in terms of arpeggios. I just think in terms of the chord that's there, and then I'll play notes in, most of the time, not even in scales. So, or a lot of times not even in scales. I don't worry about whether I play scale tones as long as I resolve the lines along the chord. So if I'm playing an A7, for example, I might play. You know, and I played a lot of non-scale tones there, right? I just don't worry about it. You know, I don't know what scale that was that I just played. Probably wasn't any scale, but doesn't really matter as long as you resolve on the chord tone. But I do know some scales, as I think. know, and there's certain things that I practice so that my fingers go in there. But anyway, the other thing with modal play I find is that I'll hear somebody go like, okay, the progression is D major to E minor to G major to A7. And I'll hear somebody literally say something like, okay, over the D major, I'm going to play D Ionian. Over that E minor, I'm going to play E Dorian. Over G major, I'm going to play G Lydian. And over A, I'm going to play the A Mixolydian. Again, that's okay, but my God, that's super complicated for just playing the D major scale and watching for your chord tones. Like, that's what I do. I just play the D major scale because all those chords are in the key of D, and I'll watch my chord tones, and I'll know sort of like what chords I want to play through and what chords I want to resolve on. And the chords I want to resolve on, those are the chord tones I'm going to stop on. So, now mind you, all of this is done by ear. I deliberately practiced it, but then when you play over a long period of time, you start playing by ear and get an idea of what you want to do. Again, I don't claim that I'm perfect or anything like that, but I could never handle, you know, especially if the changes are really fast, playing a different scale on every chord. But I can see the chords. I know I'm a decent rhythm guitarist, so I can play chords that change. I can play the chord changes. So I just figure, like, if I can see the chord changes, if I know what to do over each, if I can play out of chords, I can do that. And that's my philosophy on a lot of this stuff, is what's going on. So right or wrong, it seems to be okay. And I think that's, you know, I think that's what a lot of jazz players do. They play chord to chord. I mean, they know their 2-5-1s, and they know, okay, here's sort of a normal thing that I might play over 2-5-1. You know, if I'm playing in C, a 2-5-1 would be a D minor 7, G7. Nothing like a Strat to play some jazz, huh? D minor 7, G7, C. Right? Or I'm just playing C major 7 here. So, you know, you might play, all those fit into the key of C, but you are playing those notes. So you're playing the chord changes, like. You're playing the chord changes that are there, but you could just play everything in the key of C. As long as you resolve on C, it's going to sound okay. It won't sound super jazzy, but there you go. All righty. Let us, as the rabbit said, yeah, it's just good to have options. You know, if you're, I was a scale player for many, many years, and I personally did not make any the real breakthroughs I got. When I played when I was younger, I was a scale player, and every time I played jazz, at some point I would run into, I've got to change scales all the time, because jazz modulates a lot. And I couldn't handle like this whole idea of like, okay, I know my changes, I know my scales pretty well, but then like I can't change like every second or so. I can't do it. I have to think in terms of chords. And I would give up because I said, oh, I'm a scale player. But eventually I was like, no, you know, look, I'm going to buckle down. I learned the notes of the triads. I learned how to see triads all over the place, little pieces. And once I did that, then I could start playing. I still don't love playing jazz. I can't play very well jazz, but there you go. You know. All right, let's play one or two more. I'm going to get out my rock guitar because I want to play some rock. So, I mean, we're saved in rock and roll. So who's the thing that says saved by rock and roll? We're saved in rock and roll because rock and roll is not that complicated a music. So we usually don't have to do all that much. And we can usually stay in the same key. It's okay. It's in jazz where we start to or in some of those other things where we have to struggle a little bit. But let me just say, there's a reason why Don Felder, when he plays, he doesn't play that. He plays that note. There's a reason. And the reason is probably not his knowledge of the harmonic minor scale. It's probably not his knowledge of the harmonic minor scale. It's probably that he's reacting to that chord. It's an F sharp major chord. And he's playing a chord tone. That's probably what it is. So that's, it's just so much easier, I think, when you think about what are the chords, you know? So anyway, that's my answer. It's a long answer. It's a long answer. So the second chord is indeed a minor seventh. It's a minor if you're harmonizing in triads. It's a minor seventh if you're harmonizing in seventh chords. The 2 chord is a minor 7. In triads, the 4 and 5 are the same, but when you harmonize in sevenths, the 4 chord and the 5 chord are fundamentally different. One is a dominant chord and one is a major 7th chord, and that makes them very different. It gives the Mixolydian kind of spiciness. How do you like the Sorry, I like it. Hey, wie geht's mir gut? Jim C. All right, let's play a little bit of blues rock, and we are going to play a little bit by the chord here. We'll play some scale stuff, just to bug people. But I'm going to show how you can use those open strings, key of E. Remember, we're talking about key of E today. If you are enjoying this and you want to support my channel, you want to support me, and you want to learn stuff too, because we do lots and lots and lots of lessons in the member site. Once a month we have a learning path. This month is about country rock guitar. Last month was about the origins of roots, the roots of rock guitar. So we talked about 50s and, you know, rockabilly and all that kind of stuff. But members decide what they want to learn. What are the learning paths? So we cover what you want. Anyway, you can get 15% off if you click the link below. And we do blues too. We do blues. All right, so here's a little blues rock for y'all. Let's hear a little bit of this Sire. All right. right. I'll tell you what, Sire is certainly not a shreddy guitar. Oh, mess up so much. There you go. Yeah, Stephen, that's right. I mean, look, when in doubt, you can always play a chord tone, right? That's the thing. You can always play a chord tone and it sounds good, when in doubt. Now, if you only played chord tones, right, you played... You know, that would be kind of boring, right? So you've got to figure out some way of sounding interesting, right? So for example, and you know, I'll tell you what, in rock and blues, seventh chords, and I'm talking dominant seventh chords, are the ones, and I don't know who was on here, I forget his name, but he was talking about Mixolydian mode a lot. And that's no accident, because, you know, in rock, seventh chords are all over the place, and so it just behooves you to learn as many seventh chord forms as you can. So if we're talking E, for example, I know this one. Let's play a few. Let's learn a few together. So there's a seventh chord, right? We all know that. Let's do it up close. We're talking about the key of E, so why not do some seventh chords in E, right? So here's one, seventh chord. Here's another one. And don't just stop there, like those are 6-string chords. Learn this one. That's a great one. This is a great voicing too. Even this, even though it's not a chord, it's just a dyad. Great to know. Great to see it, right? Okay, here's another one. Here's another one. That's great. Here's another one. John Fogerty chord, right? Right? So I can take a ton from that one. This, that's a chord. That's another one. This one. All of those. And all of these seventh chords have things that you can do with them. Like this one, a favorite lick of mine. Now, those aren't all chord tones. But they're things that I can do. Now, I don't know what ones are scale tones out of that. I could figure it out. Like I could figure out, okay, let's see, E Mixolydian mode. So that might be, I could play it. There it is right there. But I can't think that quick. So I'd rather just see the chord that I'm going to play. So there you go. You know, and yeah, it's helpful to know root third 5 and all that kind of stuff, but root third 5 and flat and 7th. But as long I try to get people to start with just like just picture the chords. You know you can play them because I've seen people play like, you know, I've seen people play. But then when you say play out of the chords, they're like, well, I don't know, you know, I can't see what it is. What's the root? What's the third? What's the fifth? Doesn't really matter. If you see this guy, you know, that can help you anyway. As long as you land on those chord tones. Anyway, we're not supposed to be talking about chord tones today. Mike Campbell, oh man, Mike Campbell is the best. I love Mike Campbell's play. He's one of my absolute favorites. I gotta do a thing on him because so much is also this that lovely sound that he gets. And he's such a good player. He can make simple things really interesting. And to me, I like players like that a lot. Players that can play really simple things and make it sound good. So, anyway. Anyway, I think that's about it for today, folks. Hour and a half. That's a decent length. Why don't I just kind of hang out and answer your questions? I think we've talked a lot about the key of E, so I'll just kind of recap on that. Key of E is great. Remember the minor pentatonic. It's the tuning, right? Standard tuning is tuned in E minor pentatonic. You might not think of it that way, but all the notes are in the E minor pentatonic. E, obviously, A, D, G, B, and we're back to an E. All of those notes are in the E minor pentatonic. If you check them out, they're all there. That means when you're playing like a lot of rock songs, they just kill in the key of E because you can hit any open note and make a lot of noise. You know, all that kind of stuff. So you can play all that stuff. And Telly Player just came on. So I'm going to play a little bit of my Telly because I'm really digging it, I got to tell you. So that'll be that, and we'll just stick around and answer your questions. Oh yeah, the other thing I want to tell you, but just before we go, about the key of E, is it's really sweet sounding because you can use those two open strings on the bottom. I should say on the top, the B and E, to do all sorts of things with, it'll sound better on the Telly. I like the Sire. It's good. I like the sound I get with it. It's a good sounding guitar, I think, personally. Oh, let me take this out. Yeah, I personally think it's a good sounding guitar. I've been really getting into this Telly, though, lately. I usually don't like Fender necks, but this one is just a little bit chunkier than I'm used to. Not much. It's not like a baseball bat, but it's just a little bit chunkier, which is good. And all right, so what I was going to show you was in the key of E. Let's take this off. Ooh, this is a little bit out of tune. Maybe not. Oh. There we go. All right. I think it was just that E string was a little bit flat, but it didn't notice. The dude abides. The dude, hello from Japan. Hey. We still have a lot of people joining. And we're just getting near the end of this live stream, but it's great to see people joining. You can go back for the Key of E lesson. And I just want to thank people for, first of all, I want to thank my members who are here. There's still some members who are on. Really appreciate you supporting me, and it means a lot. It helps keep the channel going. Couldn't do it without you. If you do want to become a member, it's 15% off today. Not only do you support me, but you also get all my courses. And every month we also do a learning path. And I say it's a learning path. It's not just videos, guys. It's me. I answer your questions. We do a live every week, or 3 times a month, I should say. We do a live where you can log in and get all your questions answered live. And we do learning paths each month, and they're chosen by members. So people are finally starting to get it. Like, oh yeah, this membership is different because it's not just a bunch of videos. I think the videos are good, but that's not really what it's about. It's getting deeper answers to your questions, because you know what it's like. You watch a video and it's like, huh, why do you do that? That's the question that I have, and then it's hard to get that answered. But anyway, so and I'll at least give you the answer. You might not like the answer because you might not like how I think about it, but there we go. So yeah, so I did want to say. The other thing I wanted to say was about the key of E, and then we'll just answer questions and play a little bit, but is you can leave those 2 strings open, the B and the E, and then play chords in the key of E major, and it sounds great. And lots of songs have been composed for that. And anyway, it's kind of a nice thing to get that sort of yes, Stephen, to answer your questions, yes. Yes, it's exactly the same. If you tune a whole step down, you have the same positions you're playing, but you're in the key of D. So it's the position play is what we're talking about. Yeah, it's that. So in standard tuning, it's that. If you change the tuning, you're obviously going to get different things. But in standard tuning, E is the magic key. All right. So, yep. So this is a Mexican telly, and it's a player telly. But it's a special run in that I got it on they had an estate sale. Somebody who had a great guitar collection. Oh, I wanted to buy like 10 of them. I ended up buying this one. This was one of the lower priced ones. He had an unbelievable ovation. It was just really, Taylor, a Taylor guitar. Sorry, it was Taylor electric. Not acoustic. It was just absolutely beautiful. Sounded great. It was like $1,500. So it's a lot of money, but it was well priced. I just couldn't use it in my collection. I couldn't use it. I have the B&G, so there's no point to it. But I was jonesing after it. But this is where I got this. Anyway, it's a standard player telly, except that 2 things are different. It's got a roasted maple neck. It's got a bone nut, so I guess that too. I don't know if player tellies have that. And the other thing it has is it has no caster pickups, so it has those custom shop no caster pickups in it. So it just has it's a little bit special. It's got the roasted maple neck and then the no caster pickups. So I just found out, at least for myself, that I like the feel of roasted maple neck and fretboard, and I for some reason don't like a bare maple fretboard. Maybe it's just totally in my mind. I don't know. I think they sound the same personally. I don't think there's any difference sonically. But I also don't think there's really any difference sonically between rosewood and maple fretboards. But I like the feel of rosewood better generally, except if it's a roasted maple. So when I saw this, I'm like, maybe I could like it. Maybe I could really like it. And I like the carve. So yeah, I'm digging it. Anyway. Shower thoughts. I love it, Stephen. That's great. All right, so let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, just fooling around, folks. So what questions do you have? Come on, come on. Let's hear the questions. Open E is a cool tuning, yeah. Although I prefer open D because I don't like to tighten guitar strings. That scares me. I don't know why, but I break a lot of strings, and every time I break a string, I'm like, yeah, it just creeps me out. I don't know why. Like, it doesn't bother me when I actually break the string, but when I think about breaking it, it creeps me out. So one of the things I've liked, I bought a new camera. I'll show you this. I bought a new camera, and I think the color is much better on this. I think it matches. I'm not doing any, I didn't alter it at all. And I think it's a little bit sharper. Thanks, Joe. I think the color is a little bit better on this one. And I didn't alter it at all. So it saved me time. Usually I have to like change the exposure. Here, I'll show you. Here's the normal webcam that I use. Let's see if I can go to it. Yeah, let's try this. Okay, so this is my new camera. Here is my old camera. Huh? Oh. Yeah, here's my old camera. So to me, me see if I can get it down here. There you go. Old camera. New camera. Come on. There's a new camera. It's like night and day to me. I think it's a lot better. Anyway. Anyway, there you go. So this kind of stuff fills up my life. Buying stuff like that and then getting into work. Thank you, Rizzler. Our singers, what are your thoughts on keeping it in a half step down? Oh, look, I mean, if you're able to play, like I play with other singers, right? So if I tuned a half step down, I would have to think that way and be able to transpose really quickly. Because when they say something like, okay, I want to play this in C, that means I've got to play it in C sharp, right? So you've got to be really quick about transposing and all that. So I generally leave my guitars in standard tuning. If I have a special guitar, like I'll have it tuned to open D or something like that, I'll have it sit on the side. But I like to take one guitar to a gig. I don't like to take multiple guitars. That's just me. That is just me. I will take multiple guitars, but I don't do it that often. I have enough, so I could do it for sure. But that's what I was going for. Messed up. Balloons popping probably get you as well. Yeah, they do, for sure. I'm also afraid of needles. When I get my blood taken, I look away. My mom wanted me to become a doctor. No way on earth that was going to happen. I have a cousin who is a doctor. He's an ophthalmologist. Great guy. He was the best man at my wedding. And been a lifelong friend. He's 10 years my senior. And love him. And he's a doctor. And I had to hear about it all my life growing up. Why can't you be more like so-and-so? He's a doctor. Like, what a difference. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Earl. Appreciate it, buddy. Open G. Open G is really good, Don. I've got a trick for you though. Instead of doing open G, what I often do, because Keith didn't use his E string a lot also when he tuned in open G. He would take off his E string, his low E string, and play in an open G tuning. Right? Normally you have to tune that down to D, and you have to tune your high E string down to D, and you tune your G string down, or your A string down to G, right? And then you get G tuning. Well, it screws you up for soloing, right? Because you've got this E string that's going to screw you up, and you've got the low E string. It takes forever. So what I do is I simply tune one string. I tune the A string down to G. And I strategically block off the top string when I'm playing. I post my fingers there when I play. And Keith didn't play the E string anyway, so I don't play it. Anyway, it works. There you go. Anyway, it's cool. Can give you that pull off, and then you're ready to play the next thing. You just tune it. And you're ready. You're ready to play, right? So, anyway. Still feel I'm a little bit out of tune on something. I'm sure tuning down to that fake open G didn't help. I think I was a few cents off on my D was a little bit too low, and my G was a little bit too high. Hey, I just watched the Full Monty again last night. You remember that movie from the 90s? I hate to say this, but when I said my G string is too high, it made me think of that. Sorry, folks. Sorry for that image, but it did make me think of that. It does look a bit like a Keith guitar, doesn't it? But yeah, I like how it sounds. It has a good sound. This is the neck pickup. And then here's a bridge pickup. Very twangy. I should do it in E, right? It's a little bit harsh sounding, but you know, with you can dial that down. Yeah, maybe I'll turn down the treble a bit. Yeah, there we go. That sounds a little bit more. Little Bernie Lead in there. Fun stuff. Play a couple of popular songs in the key of the brother. Yeah, we did a few. Already, Bob. So I'm kind of played out for now. We're just kind of hanging out. If you want to see them, you can go back to the beginning. We did a few in the beginning. No problem, Richard. You can always go back. You know, let me play something. I'll tell you what, I'll play. Let's play a little, I don't know, let's play a little funky thing. Let's play a little funky sort of thingamabob. I don't think I played this. So, yeah. We'll play the telly on the middle position. Kind of a funky sounding middle position, right? That's the thing you're supposed to do for the funky sounding. Okay, so let's try it. This is going to be I don't know what it's going to be. It's in E something or other. Let's go. Let's see if we can do this. I don't know if I played this already or not. Maybe I did. There we go. All right, kind of cool, right? Little funky thing. So over that, it's basically I'm just playing out of the chords. I'm playing a couple of scale things. You can play that kind of stuff, which is an E minor pentatonic. You can play that, but anytime you want to play, I played a couple things on the major pentatonic. Didn't love how it was sounding really. I did add some notes into that. There's some cool notes you can add into the major pentatonic. One is the minor third. It just makes it a little bit edgier. And another thing you can do is to play the E mixolydian. Sorry. If you add those together, you get lots of good notes. Oops, I messed up. There's lots of good notes that you can put in there. So you can do that kind of stuff. And you can just kind of play out of chords. So I'm really just kind of playing out of chords there, right? A, going up to the B, another A, B, now kind of walking to the E. Right? And when I do something like this, all I'm doing, that's a favorite move of mine. All I'm doing is playing a little E triad here, right? I'm getting to this, but I'm playing in a weird way. I'm playing it in kind of an edgy way. And then I'm just kind of moving up the fretboard by playing, doing that kind of stuff until I get to this next E chord. You know, I could do what I wanted with that. I could play. That would sound good too, and it's not really doing anything other than like just I'm doing something semi-randomly until I get to, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing again. All right, cool. All right, well, I'm not getting a lot of questions, so I will play us out. I'll see you, everybody. I'm getting kind of hungry, so I'm going to eat some lunch. And I was going to go fishing, but my left arm, I think, has anybody ever had tennis elbow? Oh, hey, Tom. Tom, good to see you on. Really appreciate it on Rizzler. That's pretty funny. Finger picks are the absolute worst. Okay, I'm not going to get into that discussion. My knees hurt. Oh, interesting name. Love that noodly stuff to move up the neck. Yeah. Half step movements. Yeah. Well, you know, it's not noodly if it's intentional, right? So when you're just playing around, like on these sessions, I play around a lot, so it is kind of noodly for sure. But yeah, I mean, you should experiment, right? And to me, like if you know your targets, if you know this is the chord you're targeting, then to get there is pretty easy, right? Because you can play, or you can play, you know, or all I'm doing is playing weird notes before I get to the chord tones that I want to hear. And jazz players do all that all the time. It's called, I always forget what it's called. I always think of football encroachment, but that's not what it's called. It's not called encirclement either. Enclosures. They're called enclosures. So instead of playing this third of A, let's say I'm playing over an A chord. Instead of playing this third right here, which is a C sharp, I don't just play it, I play the D, which is a half step above it, then I play the C, which is a half step below it, and then I play it. And that sounds cooler than if I just played. It sounds cooler. It gives you some movement, right? But did you notice I played that? I didn't play that, right? It just sounds a little bit different, a little bit cooler. All that's really playing out of chords. All right, I'm preaching too much. Preaching too much today. All right, folks, let me play out on this. This will be a little bit of a mellow tune, and we'll see you all. Oh, what I was going to say is I really hurt my arm. I was throwing a Frisbee. I think it's tennis elbow. Whoa, really went out. And so my fishing arm, which is I'm left-handed, maybe I should try fishing right-handed, but anyway. I can't go fishing today, so I'm going to get something to eat instead and hang out. Maybe I went for a walk this morning because it's really hot. So I went for a walk with the missus, which was nice. Ran into a bunch of cool and cute dogs, which is always a bonus. I like seeing dogs. So it made my day seem good. I always love it when I see some cute dogs or some good dogs. Knees hurt. That's good. to play like a slide without using a slide, right? All right, let's play it out with a little soulful, a mellow thing. Everybody, thank you. Thank you. My knees hurt. Yeah, me too, Shin. Love them. Love them. All right, thanks for everybody coming on. Remember, one last appeal. If you like this stuff, if you want to join as a member, there's all sorts of reasons too. One of the reasons is we do a lot of learning paths, live support. Anyway, 15% off today if you want to. If you don't want to, it's cool. Appreciate everything. Appreciate everybody who's a member, everybody who came on, especially the members, and especially a couple of people, Ron Sweet and Chris, who gave me a little tip. Always enjoy that via the super chat. We'll see you. We'll see you in a couple weeks. We're going to do country. You know, I'm going to be playing a Tully. We're going to be doing country rock guitar, Stones, Eagles, Graham Parsons, and Skinner and stuff like that. We'll do that next time. All right, we'll do that next time. All right, we'll see you. Yes, there is a 15% off code. It is right in the description. It's in the description. Let me see. I'll put it in the chat. I will put it in the chat. Give me a second. I will put it in the chat, and then I'll play you guys off for a Sunday. I'm having a good one. I'm having a good Sunday because I got to play some guitar for not just for you, for me. Because I don't usually play very much. I hate to say it, but these are one of the reasons I love doing the live streams. My wife always chides me on this because I always say, well, I'm going to do a 20-minute live stream. And then 2 hours later, I get off the live stream, right? So here it is right here. Here's the 15% off. No problem, Randall. And then here is here's the membership. There you go. Okay. So thanks. Anyway, so it's really funny, you know. I want to do it, and I say I'm going to do 20 minutes, and then 2 hours later, I'm off. Right? So the lesson I could have done, key of E, magic of key and E, we could have done in 20 minutes, but I just like to play, you know, and I don't get to play enough. I'm playing in a band. Oh my God, we have a gig coming up. I told you I was going to play out, but I'll tell you about this. We have a gig. We have a gig coming up, and we only have like 6 or 7 songs that we're going to play. I'm not too worried about it, but our bass player is like incredibly worried about it because, oh, you know, the drummer's having problems, or maybe, I don't know. But there's singers that we need to get, and we need to coordinate practice, and it's like, oh my God, look, 4 people, I'm good. Like, thanks, Randall, thanks. So, like, you know, it's really cool because it's R&B. We're playing R&B, and there's only bass, drums, guitar, and a singer. So, so I have to play basically all the harmony parts. I have to play guitar. I have to play the piano. I have to play the horn parts. I should say it this way. I get to play all those parts, right? Because the guitar parts in R&B were very often really simple. They were often, you know, they're often stuff like that, right? So it's not always so fun. But when you get to play the piano, messed up there, but anyway, the bottom line is, like, I'm fine. Like, I'll just go in. I'm really trying hard not to run this group, and they're trying to coordinate the practices and coordinate 7 people on a text stream with nobody saying, they're just like, hey, what do you think about Tuesday? A bunch of people say, oh, Tuesday's better than this, Monday's blah, 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 blah. Who knows when we're practicing? Finally, I just throw it out. How about Tuesday at 3:30? People go, okay, yeah, I can do that. Great, now we've decided. But anyway, I don't like doing that. It's driving me crazy right now. I'm really not worried about the gig. Like, I'm going to have fun up there, and that's what matters. Okay, let me play out. Now I mean it. I'm serious now. We're doing a bunch of. Oh, this was just CeeLo Green's "Forget You." We're doing that, and we're doing also. Right, they're both the same chord progression, so we'll mash them up. That's Love Train, right? Love Train is like. People all over the world join in. Join the love train, I've been to town with a girl I love. Yeah, I've been sitting around town with the girl I love and just forget you. All right. Anyway, it's fun stuff. Fun stuff. All right, let's just play a little soul to kind of go away on this. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you. Right. Ooh. All right, folks. We'll see you in 2 weeks with Country Rock. All right. Thanks again for everybody. John DiCarlo, buddy. Good to see you on. Yeah, I messed up some of those octaves, Randall. That's for sure. Okay, folks. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks a lot for coming by. Always appreciate it. All right. Take care.